beside the river. Wash the journey from your hand. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand. Fear's not allowed, where dreams can be lost or found.
Hello, welcome to Healing Outside the Box. This is our 20th show, and the title of the show tonight is Reflexology. And my name is Rosemary Lachance, and I'm a Reiki practitioner.
And I'm Traci Crampton. I'm a Reiki and EFT practitioner. And tonight we have with us Mary Keefe, and she's a reflexologist and a Reiki practitioner as well.
Hi.
Welcome to our show, Mary.
Thank you. Hi, Rosemary.
Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to give you all a little bio about Mary. Mary Hatch is a native of North Haven who earned her BA from Trinity College in Washington, D.C. Mary is certified in reflexology and practices here in North Haven at the East-West Healing Arts Center and in Guilford at the VNA. Mary is presently attending the Connecticut Center for Massage Therapy in Newington, Connecticut. Mary is a member of the Reflexology Association of America. She also attended the national conference in May 2008, where she studied the first of 3 levels of craniosacral reflexology. Other methods of study include maternity reflexology and ears, hands, and feet integrated method. Mary is also a Reiki practitioner, having completed Reiki level 1 and 2. Mary continues to volunteer her time at the various senior center wellness fairs across Connecticut, retreats for hospice nurses, and the Relay for Life Survivor tents annually. Wow, that's great. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
So, we're going to put you on the spot here, but one of our first questions usually to our guest is, what brought you down this path to reflexology and what made you become interested in this field?
All right. Well, I have been in the alternative, complementary therapy for years with chiropractic. I've been getting massage for 20 plus years, all different kinds of therapies. And when someone worked on me with reflexology, I noticed that for 3 days I felt really balanced, I felt grounded, I felt peaceful. And so then I tried it again, and I'd do massage, and then I'd go back. But there was something about reflexology that really was different. It's just one of those things that we have to remember is stress. We all are living under so much stress, and with raising children and running around, I felt like I was always had this high level of stress. And when I would get reflexology, it would just calm me down and ground me, and it kind of brings your feet, touching earth.
Right.
Yeah, and it made me feel so good for so long that I was like, I want to study this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what, in essence, is reflexology?
Reflexology, the whole theory is that your ears, hands, and feet are a mirror image of all the systems and organs in your body. So that you have your elbow can be found in your feet, your kidneys, your liver, your whole hormonal system is in your endocrine system, and all of the points of the feet can be found. I have little charts that I could show you so you can see, because some people have heard of reflexology and others haven't. But if you see, here is one shot of the hand, and it shows you where all the different points are in the left hand here. And you also have the feet, which shows where the lungs are, the stomach, the digestion, and so on.
So the feet and the hands reflect different organs in each one, or are they the same organs on both hands?
They do have some overlap and some do not. Like in the feet, for instance, you have 2 kidneys, so you have a kidney on each.
Oh, okay.
The stomach actually overlaps, the pancreas overlaps, so they're in the middle of the feet and they wrap around both feet.
So if it's like a right-sided organ in your body, it would be on the right foot and vice versa.
Yes, where sometimes people think that if your left brain controls the right side and vice versa. Reflexology, they believe, is the same side. So if you're working anything, it's consisting of 10 zones. We have 10 zones in our body, and they go straight from our toes up to the top of our head. In those instances, if you have anything going on in that zone, when you reflex that zone, which you do by touching softly, it could be circular motions, it could be just soft manipulation of the tissue. And that will reflex, send a signal to the brain or the nervous system in the spinal cord that will feed the body, and it will balance itself. It's the most amazing thing about the body is that we do have the power. It's constantly seeking homeostasis. So that if you're out of balance, the body is constantly trying to seek balance. And we basically are just little conduits, and we just help the system regulate itself by just stimulating the reflex. You cannot do any harm to people, because reflexology is, if there is something that's maybe stuck in the tissue, if there's some swelling, or if there's, you might feel a little bit of tenderness. If you work that area, it will always seek balance. So if it needs to come down, it balances down. If it needs to be stimulated up, when you stimulate the zone, the body seeks its own balance. It's quite amazing.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I know, there are some, I've heard people say that, what if I'm pregnant, or what if, I have, is it harmful if you're pregnant?
Right.
Or do you need a certain...
There are contraindications at times, because reflexology is very good, and again, it does not do harm.
Okay.
The theory is that a lot of times, especially during pregnancy, we need balancing. You can retain fluids, your hormones are going all over the place, the baby has needs and is drawing on the mother. And the only time you really have to be careful in maternity and pregnancy is in the first 3 months of pregnancy.
Okay.
Like you would be careful doing anything else, you would always seek your doctor's approval first before you get worked on. But during those 3 months, you don't want to hit, obviously, some contraindicative points, which are like spleen 6. There's certain areas around the ankle, all the genitals, you just avoid them just to be safe. And they're actually talking about doing a study. They're trying to get in and do a study with Planned Parenthood where people are already wanting to abort, and that maybe we could do reflexology to test that aspect and see if it actually would do it. I don't know how soon that something like that would happen. It is something they are talking about.
That's a pretty,
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, does that serve any, is anybody up in arms about that
I don't
movement?
know yet, because obviously something like that hasn't, been publicized by any organization, like, oh, we're going to do this, it's happening at this time. But, I had further questions is once you start, reflexology puts you in connection with your body. It's the most beautiful thing, that if you're feeling like you live in your head a lot, because that's how I found reflexology.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, a lot of us today are running, and we're just living on the fight or flight. We're caffeinated, and we're working and running, and then with the gas prices now, everyone's like, feeling the stresses. The idea is that when you stimulate reflexes, they actually stimulate the parasympathetic, which calms the body, which brings it back to homeostasis. It's like a recuperative state. So, the key is that by doing that, it grounds you. It's just such an amazing thing to have that gift,
Yes.
Where did reflexology come from?
They don't have an exact date.
Really?
Believe it or not, but they know it's like 1400 BC.
Wow.
Egyptian, it was in the hieroglyphics. I have one thing that's really easy to show, and actually they have found this on the Egyptian wall. I don't know if you can see, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they actually
Working on the
look
feet.
like they are reflexing the feet and the hands.
That's right, they do.
Oh, amazing.
And it says here that early 6th dynasty, about 2330, wall painting in the tomb. It says that it's known that it's as the physician's tomb, as we all know. And translation reads, "Don't hurt me." And the practitioner's reply is, "I shall act so you praise me." And they say in the history that people used it, not only the rich, it was regular working people. Monks would carry it from land to land. You know, when you even think of biblical times, you know, Jesus washed the disciples' feet. There's so many instances where historically, you know, and think of what it was like then. Like, I always laugh at that and think, people say, well, how could you work on people's feet, you know? And I said, well, I love it. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't bother me at all. And I feel like I'm gifting and sharing and exchanging with someone with touch, which is such a valuable thing that a lot of us today aren't getting either. So I do work in the senior centers, people that don't normally get touched, or if people don't want to get massaged, that's the greatest gift, is that they might not want to go in.
Yeah, they might not feel comfortable like disrobing.
Exactly.
And with reflexology, there's no need for that, right?
Exactly, and that's what I find is that, you know, okay, well, you can do my feet. And also, a lot of people think, oh, I'm ticklish, you can't touch my feet. Yeah? And, or, so, but I find that the more, you can use a little more pressure, which usually alleviates that. And also there's some theories that if your feet are tender, then you have some blockages and you have some toxicity that needs to eliminate. And the beauty of reflexology is it helps elimination, helps get rid of toxicity. If you have any blockages in your digestion, I can feel that in the feet.
Wow.
Now, you know, we're not doctors, we can't diagnose, but there are signals that the body gives us. So it's just like any kind of illness. All of those things are symptoms to tell us, wake up, something's not right. And what I thought is so cool is that, you know, talking about everyone being stressed right now with everything that's going on with the economy and with the politics, is that it causes dis-ease in our bodies. And dis-ease is disease.
Right.
And I also have a personal stake in trying to live healthy. You know, I want to, something I really enjoy and want to give back. And I had 2 brothers that died of cancer.
Oh.
And so for me, it's like such a vested interest, and being able to foster health and seeing people get well, you know, just by helping them do it themselves. To eat better, to, you know, that we all need, you know, we talk all the time where you need to learn to meditate, get quiet, be out in nature. If someone doesn't know how to meditate, it's a matter of just sitting with your breath.
Right.
And that we could I try to even teach my children that, you know, to try to get quiet, you know, get away from the video games for a few minutes, you know. They love when I do their feet, by the way.
Yeah, kids love it. My kids like sit on the couch and stick their feet in my lap, expecting it all the time.
It feels so good. The hands and the feet to be touched and massaged. Oh, it feels so good. It's so relaxing.
Yes.
Well, that's probably why, because it's working your whole system over.
Exactly, and especially like mine are teenagers. So teenagers, you know, I'll say, hey, you want to go to the movies? And they're like, not with you, you know. So it's
a way
like,
to connect with them,
yeah, it's a really nice way to connect with family members. You know, the little one, Christopher, loves his feet done. So it's a way that we can connect, but being a boy and I'm a woman, he's like, oh, no hugs, you know. So it's a really nice way you can still connect. Same connecting safely and respectfully with seniors or people who are ill and dying. It gives them a lot of peace. My father also passed away a couple of years ago, and he had liver dysfunction where he was not eliminating very well, and so that's a very big key so that you don't toxify your whole body. And I taught him himself where to help the digestion on his own hand. So if I wasn't there.
Right, so this is something you can learn to do for yourself.
He could stimulate it in the morning. And your digestion is all through your hand. And
Each hand or
yes,
yes,
both hands.
Like the intestines.
Yeah, because the intestines go through your whole body. And that is something, just anything, I think it's neat that we all know if you just massage your own ears, how soothing that is. Or if you just need a pick-me-up.
Pick-me-up. Someone told me that, because my daughter has a hard time getting up in the morning, oh, just go in and rub her ears and that really does work. It
It's
like
really
stimulates her a little
amazing.
bit.
All on the outside of your ear here
Yeah, let's show us.
is your spinal cord. So all in here. So on yourself, if you were
guys
to
get a little
rub your
closer?
ears
There we
literally
go.
simply just like this, you are getting your whole spinal cord in here.
Wow.
And your spine is the hard surface in here, the cartilage inside your ear. It's the big ridge in here. And that's your spine. And that, it's just amazing, even just some of the points. There's over 200 points in your ear that also are the same points as acupuncture.
I was going to ask that
Yep.
if it lines up with acupuncture
The
points.
same as acupuncture and acupressure. And in fact, some of the first charts for feet that were ever out was controversy because they believe it came from France. And then the Chinese came out with their own chart. So there is some talk about where it came from first. But reflexology was brought to the States in the 1930s, and there was a doctor, actually Dr. Fitzgerald out of the Hartford St. Francis Hospital, and he would use it actually as pain, like anesthesia. And he would use the he called them reflex zone therapy, or zone therapy at the time. And they actually would clip different fingers to block the pain pathway, and he could do his procedures, whatever they were. And then Dr. Riley, who was a chiropractor, was continuing some of the zone therapy and writing articles. There's articles, and they're going to come out with some more history books, but there's a lot already out there. Eunice Ingham is one of the forefront teachers who really took it to the States and traveled. And for a woman to do that in the 30s was a really big deal. I mean, she went from hotel to hotel to hotel. It's really popular all over the world now, though. You know, in Jerusalem, Israel, in South Africa, some of the good teachers have come out of there, England, France, Australia, New Zealand. It's really big now. So it's kind of fun because you don't feel like it's something, oh, that's really weird. What is that? It's a little more acceptable today, what we all do.
I have a question. Like, say that, you know, you had like some kind of deformity on your ear or your foot that you were born with, you know, what might that say about your system inside? Does that say anything? Is that reflective of anything going on inside?
Sometimes it can. They even say children that are piercing their ears all over the place, you're piercing body parts.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
and systems, and that they do say that that will affect your well-being as well. The ears, yes, I don't know of many that you would see that in, but
Okay.
you do see different things that your feet and your hands actually change. If you become more calloused at one time than another, that there's different theories out there that people can read your feet. It is not like palm reading where you tell the future.
Right.
It's that certain toes and the way you hold your feet. If someone comes in and their feet go out like this, they're very laid back. They're very easygoing. If you find someone like this and their feet are like really stiff, they're very in control, doing type people. So there are some
about
things that you
pointed
can
in?
tell. Pointed in, probably protected. And you even have some that one is this way and one is that. And there's Chinese theories and reflex theories too that feel the past and the present is one or the other. So it depends how much you want to get into that. But as far as factual, one thing everyone agrees on is that when you're working these points in the feet, the body does amazing things. I've met lots of teachers. The maternity reflexology teacher is from England. She has taught in Australia, New Zealand. She's a midwife. And she's now in London with her grandchildren. She wants to do more work there. She's coming again in the fall. And the craniosacral woman is a osteopath, naturopath, herbalist, aromatherapy, reflexologist, and she is. They both are in their 70s and are carrying this on, these techniques all around the world, which I just admire
That's
so much for them
amazing.
to travel like they do. The cranial reflexology.
What is cranial reflexology for our
Cranial
audience?
reflexology is that basically from your head to your toe, it's all in your feet. It's just amazing what there is. I was going to tell you that she, being all of those things, an osteopath, all of those things, she says she gets the most results from the reflexology.
Wow.
She's trained. She's been doing this for I don't know how many years, because I think she found it in her early 30s or late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
She's written several books. I mean, you have to go through 3 levels. But the idea is that your toes and everything actually have the suture points. She has, there's one here that I can show you. That's really cool because you can see it. Well, here you have all the cranial nerves are in the toes.
Okay.
And then,
So the toes represent the head. Right.
yes, the big toe is your head. Your brain, yes, goes all across your toes.
You were saying I had a big toe.
So you have a
I
big
must
brain.
have a big brain.
Yep,
The question is it a good brain or
Am I using all of
Yeah.
it or just a part of it?
See, and that shows right there. How do you want me to go like that?
Yeah.
That the toe, if you see where the bones are, and actually where you bend your toe, the theory that she has found is that those are your sutures. So your
Sutures,
occiput,
I'm sorry,
your sutures from the brain, your skull,
Okay.
are in your toes. So she actually taught us how to work all the cranial nerves, all the sutures in your toes.
To work
Because-
on the head and the...
when you say suture, that sounds like sewing someone up.
Right.
So,
Like the,
but
we
in
have
your
that in our
the
skull.
plates, the plates in your
Plates.
head, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they connect the different sections of the brain, the skull. So, but what's cool, I mean, it's too much to explain in a short time. But one of the things that I find, even the maternity, if you take a skeleton, some offices will have the full skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
If you go and you pick up the heels of the feet and you put the feet facing you, and you put the heels and the ankles together, this is the coolest thing, a skeleton.
Oh, it looks like a skull.
When you look in, it is a pelvis.
Oh, a pelvis.
And it's exactly what they say our feet are. Because if you look at the foot sideways, I don't know if you can,
It looks like a hip bone and
it looks just like a spine from the head to the sacrum. Now your whole reproductive is in your ankle, down in your heel. So when you take a skeleton and you put both feet together, the bottom part actually makes a pelvis. You can see what our pelvis looks like and how it's just the coolest thing. I wish I had a big skeleton. It's just amazing. Because all of these theories are that they call it somatic, that exactly what is in your feet is your body.
right.
It's just
and
incredible.
it goes on the theory that microcosm, macrocosm, everything reflects everything else, in the universe and within. You can go in
Exactly.
any direction and you'll get just mirrors upon mirrors of...
Well, that's the
system.
big thing now that you're getting to is this energetic medicine, and the whole future is that all of our cells have the same information, the same DNA that every single cell has, and they have the communication ability.
Right.
It is true, and that everything.
to show one expression or the other. That's interesting because they all
Yeah.
have the same DNA, but they're expressing differently.
Right, and there's a whole thing. Like we talk a lot about the different books that are out there, but there's so much out there that, we really have a lot more say of what we're going to think and how that affects our bodies and our health. That's like the biggest thing to me is to work on my thought life, work on the peace and the downtime, and get the different body therapies, no matter what they are. No one therapy is the end all.
Right.
I believe that there's room for everybody, and there's a place for medicine, and there's a place for the alternatives, and there's a place for all the complementary therapies. And hospitals are I commend them, are getting on board.
Yeah,
even
they
in this
finally are.
area.
Yes.
Whether it's Reiki, reflexology, hospice highly regards
And sometimes, they can't deny the results, and if they really want to
right.
do what's best for the patient.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that
have to be on board.
surprised me. I do Reiki. I volunteer Reiki at Yale New Haven Hospital, but they
Wonderful.
also have it at St. Raphael's, and they also have it at Milford, and they have it at hospice too. So That's wonderful. I was so glad to hear about that, you know.
The one thing that I will say here, if it's okay, I don't know what you think, but some of the things that bother me about that is, you know, I think it's helped our exposure to do volunteer that we all do, and we have big hearts. People that are in this field really have big hearts. But we also need to value the power of the art, you know, that we have, because I think that happens a lot where hospice and hospitals are willing to have you if you give it for free.
Yes,
and I really think that needs to change.
So you're the second person that said that to me. Yeah.
Because
Recently.
I think they're abusing the gift of it because we're willing to give it for free.
Right.
Right. You're right.
But you know,
But
the
it's still a
cancer
time,
thing has been a big, the survivors and the you know, they're building a new cancer hospital in New Haven. You know, I really think
Yale is
that
putting a new one on,
in this area, and also the time, you know, they say by the year 2010, which is right around the corner, something ridiculous like 1 in 3 people will get cancer once in their lifetime. So, I mean, we are really talking that we have got to get on board, to educate ourselves. The cancer, I just keep meeting all these people, and I don't know if it's because I have that connection in my family. I got to hear Bernie Siegel on Monday night, and he just was wonderful. I had missed him when you went. And, you know, it's just amazing how he says we have to learn to live, not doing all of these things not to die. And I thought that was really profound.
Stop, get measures, I
thought that was really cool. Like he had shared an example of a woman who was eating vegetables for 25 years and became ill. And she was so mad she got ill. I was eating vegetables all those years. And the ones that survive, you can never tell who it's going to be. You could have the best attitude. But the ones that lived and didn't have time to be ill were the ones that survived. Overall.
Wow.
So I want to learn how to live. That's like where I'm at is I want to learn as much as I can. I have so much more to learn. But I love the reflexology. I think it's really powerful. It helps me. And I just want to share it with more and more people.
It's beautiful. So what do our feet tell us about ourselves? I mean, are there, besides, you know, the way they're pointing, are there any things you pick up right away when you touch someone's foot, or some common things that you're just like, oh wow, this is a common thread amongst many?
Yes, I would say one of the most common things. Now, in all fairness, some things you can tell and some you can't. Now, let's say I'm feeling someone's arch in here in the bottom of their foot, and it's very tight. That does not necessarily mean, okay, they have internal organ issues, whether it's the bladder, the kidney, you know, and what have you. That's not necessarily true. They could have done gardening, gone on a hike, you know, so it's all in the questions and in the intake, in the history. Did you do anything different this time, you know? One of the most common things that I see, and does seem to be consistent with what others have taught me in some foot reading, what the feet can tell, is that people who have bunions are very big helpers. They do everything for everybody else, and they'll say, yes, but my mother had it, and my other, you know, my grandmother had it. I said, well, that's not necessarily not true either, that they were givers, you know. So that's one thing I've noticed that's very consistent. So bunions, you know, where the toes kind of point out, the tendon is really tight, and they have extra bone growing on the
and
like so the side of your.
That's painful, but they're really
very painful.
But they're givers. But you would think if you're a giver, you wouldn't get something so painful.
But I don't know what it is.
They give
just
too much too.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If it's something that's very severe, then it is. Maybe they need to evaluate, are they giving too much of themselves? Some other ones that are very popular, sinuses. Usually, if someone does not tell me, and I start on all the tops of the toes are your sinuses. It's your brain and your sinuses. So you can work your own sinuses if you wish. You can at home, because that's something, there's some things I'm going to show you today that are just simple that you can do at home, whether you have a headache or sinuses. But that's one thing I would say I find a lot in people, that they might not tell me, and they're like, oh, my sinuses are draining, sometimes right there on the table. Sometimes they'll come back and say, you know, oh, my whole nose cleared up when I left. Most things are not drastic. Like, you're not going to go and they're not immediate and go, oh, I mean, you
more
feel
subtle,
good
right.
right away, yes, but the body actually works. After you stimulate the reflexes, they can actually continue to work up to 3 days. And that to me is so powerful. I love massage. I'm in massage school at this time. It has its purpose as well. But I've never gotten a massage and felt like I've been worked internally. And I can't describe it. It's like something that working the feet, I often think it does equate, it's similar to chiropractic, because you could adjust someone and we don't ever see the benefits. You can't really get in the body and see all the nerves and all the neuro synapses connecting and the organs being fed, and we don't see that happening. We only see the results later. And a lot of times you can't say, well, it was that or not. So that's another thing I find with reflexology. You may do this work. A woman had come to me and had very severe problems. She couldn't pee very much. She was like blocked, which, isn't common, where she didn't have an infection that she knew of or what have you, and she was going to the doctor. Just by chance had come to me, and I worked on her. She told me what she had, and I just did a normal session, did a little bit extra on the kidneys and the ureter, and she went home. She said she felt so good. She went to the doctor. She had much improvement. She still continued to go on the medication, but she actually got scared. She was like, it improved so much that I didn't know whether it was you or not, and then she said it kind of scared me. So she didn't come back for a few weeks.
Oh.
So I thought that was so funny, but now she's a regular client. So after a while, she came back.
Yeah.
So there are some things that have dramatic results. The biggest thing I would say is it kicks in your digestion, so that's really good. You can increase your metabolism because it increases circulation. But some of the real things I like too are when people are in pain, like hospice, or people have anxiety from chemo medication. You can work the reflexes on the feet or the hands, and it just puts them in an alpha state, and natural endorphins are released. So you actually are giving them some peace without medication.
Yeah.
That's very rewarding. Or if they're on medication that's causing the anxiety, you can give them some peace through another way that's touch and it's loving.
When you did reflexology on me, and I was tense that day and everything, and I go, okay, reflexology, well, we'll give it a try, right? Well, you put me out. I mean, I just went right out.
Yeah.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
Remember, I just passed out. I passed out, literally.
99% of the people fall asleep, so don't feel bad.
Really? 99%?
I did, and it was with such a peacefulness. And when I woke up, and for the rest of the night and whatever the next day, I felt so relaxed.
I mean,
it was like,
I love it.
I'm usually a go person, and it's like, but I was like, this was wonderful, and it wasn't like sleepy. It was just relaxed and
That's
peaceful.
what I call grounded.
It's wonderful.
It
wonderful.
just feels like you're there. You can feel your feet. That's a lot of the things I hear from clients too, like first timers. They're like, oh, I can feel my feet touching the floor, like hitting my shoes. I can feel like there's a connection.
Right.
A lot of times too, they might not go out, but like they get to that
to a trance.
Yeah, the alpha state where. In the alpha stage is where you're asleep, you're kind of dreaming, like you ever just fall asleep, or everything that's going on around you. You can hear everything that's happening, and so that's a lot of times what state people get to, and that's a really cool state, because that's when healing can take place.
Right.
Because again, you're de-stressing the body, you're putting it into a space that they can
receive. Yeah, they are allowing, they're not putting up those blocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then all the natural goodies that are released in your body that can do its thing. Most people that have sleep problems, the very first time they ever get worked on, will sleep through the night. It helps a lot with sleep disorders, anxiety and panic attacks, and arthritis and different things. There's different spots you can press that will give relief for that and for headaches.
Wow.
And it feels so good.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, there's no pain involved. There's
absolutely
nothing.
none.
It feels Wonderful.
And typically you have somebody, you have
Really?
a special chair. You just lounge back in the chair or on a massage table.
Yeah, I laid on the table. That was much better.
I like that too.
I like the
A lot
table.
of people like the reflexology chair or the Reiki. They like the recliner. It's kind of like a lounge chair, and it relaxes back where your legs are up, so they're higher than your heart, which is good for your circulation, and it's a very good ergonomic position for the practitioner. It's good for my back. It's good for me to have visibility of your feet. And then I have like a wheelchair that I can, the little stools
around,
on
yeah.
wheels, not a wheelchair, that you can scoot around and get around the foot where you need to and hook in. And I just love it. I prefer the massage table too. When I get work done, I prefer laying down.
Yep. Surrendering yourself completely.
For my clients, I use a little eye pillow with some eucalyptus in there, usually something that's really good in the winter that helps if people have colds, and you put a little tissue so it's protected for you. And then I have a heated neck pillow with some herbs in it as well. And then you're covered up, and I wrap your feet in fleece blankets or sheets in the summer, and I'm telling you, I think it's that whole pampering experience, and there's just something about getting your feet worked on.
Yes.
Yeah.
That must be why Christ washed the feet of the apostles.
Can you imagine how dirty they were back then?
Yes.
That's what I say. The sandals
all the
and
barefoot sandals.
but that's the point, is to be of service.
Right, and to know that it's a good feeling. It does feel wonderful for them, and do something, wonderful. Everything has some kind of meaning like that, you know? Really.
Definitely.
That's great.
So what do you have to show, or should I volunteer my foot?
Sure, definitely. I would say, I can show you and the people watching that you can do the sinuses on the tops of the toes, and how
With
you
your
can do that at
knuckles?
home. You can
Okay.
use your knuckles. You can use your thumb. Sometimes there are different methods that use tools. So there are some that use different wands and things to get into the reflexes and really work them. And but mostly we use our thumb and our other fingers, but there's all different ways we can use our thumb to
manipulate
get
the
in there.
fingers.
Yeah. And it's just very relaxing. We use a little bit of lotion, and sometimes not so much if you need to get in there more. But I'm trying to think of what else would you want to learn. Do you have anything like, I'd like you to show me, are there any areas, like the solar plexus maybe is a really good one,
Okay. Yeah,
where it's
that's
very relaxing, right in the center.
I work when I do Reiki and I work to ground people. I always hit the solar plexus or the kidney points to increase the flow.
Exactly.
To get the flow going down to the feet. And
Yeah, and the solar plexus can be found, which is your stomach. So the solar plexus, I can show them on your foot, on a real foot, that'd be good. Is right below the ball of the foot on both sides. And now let me get my little towel here. So, and this is how they did it in the old days. They would just sit
and
across
put-
from someone and put your foot up here, and then they would work on you, and you'd sit there and relax in your chair or whatever. So nowadays it's really nice because you can relax further.
Hello.
So
yeah, look at that.
yeah, I'm trying to think of how
She won. I lost. See, she won tonight.
I got the closer seat.
we could do the hand on you. So I'm trying
See,
to
I have
think.
a lot of callousing, so
They don't know that.
Some.
Don't tell anybody that.
yeah. But
Now let me see if I can show this.
that's a mother's foot here because I'm always running
if
around
you just
with
turn
my
it out
kids
just a
and-
tiny bit, then they can see. So here is the ball of the foot. That is your lungs, your heart, your bronchioles are all in there. Now there's a little soft spot right underneath the ball of the foot between the big toe.
That feels good just pressing there right away.
It's amazing. And you do both of those and you hold them in and just take some deep breaths. And you can do this for your mother, you can do this for your husband, your wife. There's some very simple things, and in fact, if you don't know anything that you're doing, if you were to just grab your loved one's feet, they wouldn't know what hit them. They'd look at you like, what do you want?
I'd heard a story once about it's also called the well springs of life, the kidney point, right? Is that true?
And also,
And that people have been known to like revive people who've gone unconscious, like going into the ER. There were one doctor I read of, don't quote
On the
me, 'cause
feet?
he like would hit those points to like jolt
try to
somebody
wake
back.
the system up. That's very possible. I mean, who knows? But the other ones here are the toes. These are the sinuses and the brain and the neck. All of these are your head. Your big toe is your big regulatory system. That actually has 5 zones of itself. So you have your whole body has 10 zones. But on this one foot, there's 5 zones, which are the toes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your big toe is the main toe. That's the big toe. It's the has the brain, has your pituitary, all your hormonal regulatory systems. Now, if you were just to rub your own toe, you could help yourself. If you feel tender spots, all you'd have to do is just rub on them, and your neck is in here in the big toe.
How you doing, Tracy?
Right
Good.
here,
My feet before I
right inside, all around the base of your toe, that first knuckle, is all your neck. So I have worked on people, and this is hard as a rock, or lots of chunks in there, and those are little crystals that could have buildup of toxicity that could be worked out, and that helps. Now, sinuses are all along the tops of the toes here, so you can just massage the toes generally if you wish, or you could work the tops of the toes. You can go in circular motion. You can use your knuckle, but I think anything you want to do to the feet will just be pleasant, and you will still be doing some benefit to the foot. All out here is your extremities. You have this bone right here. Everyone has a bone on the outside. If you come down your pinky toe, and that is your elbow.
Wow.
So people who have tennis
it feels
elbow.
like an elbow. Like I feel like the pressure on it feels like it would feel like to press on my elbow.
Yeah, people that, one of the women that worked on me in Europe, she had tennis elbow, and that's how she became a reflexologist. She had tennis elbow for 3 years that they couldn't get rid of. She tried physio, she tried everything, and she got reflexology and it went away, so she went to study reflexology.
Wow.
So it's really quite amazing. All down here is your their genital area, on all around the ankle is your reproductive. Around this right part of your ankle, if you were just to draw a circle, is your hip. So if anyone has hip problems, if you have an elderly person who doesn't have a lot of strength in the hip, or if the person is having soreness in their hip, you can work all of this area and even below, which would be the attachments to that. It's really quite amazing. Your lymphatics in your chest are here on the dorsal surface. This is your plantar. So all in the middle of your foot here is your internal organs. In the ball of the foot is going to be the heart, the lungs, the bronchioles, and in here is your digestion, and down below is your low back. And your sciatica is all up your Achilles tendon, all the way up the back is your sciatica. So if someone has back problems, who would think just rubbing your mom or your grandma's feet that you could give them some love, connect with them, and help their health?
Some relief, yeah.
Yep, some relief. When my father was passing away, he would, in his last months, he would share so many stories with me that there's 9 of us. And the other kids, you know, I got that really special, there's something about when you work on people's feet, they open up
to you,
and they share with you. So I had some very special connection times with my dad that I appreciated very much.
That's nice.
Yeah. And so, also last weekend, our association had 3 members go to the Sloan Kettering Cancer Weekend. They had a seminar for reflexology to teach them and give them all the manuals, how to work on cancer patients, what to expect, what's the protocol, what do you do, what you don't do. And that's really helped a lot of cancer patients with the nausea. It helps with them getting rid of the toxins in their body. It helps with the anxiety, like I said, if they're on chemo or meds that make them anxious. You can do that. And more people are using it. I think at one time, 1 or 2 years ago, a third of cancer patients were using, breast cancer patients were using reflexology.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just
It's
really
gaining
spreading.
popularity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about pets? Can you do
that's a
that?
good
Can you do reflexology on pets?
Yeah, actually, I have 2 dachshunds, and I've done a little bit on my
I
dog.
love your dogs.
And
They're so cute.
when I went to school, the teacher of the Universal School of Reflexology in Wolcott, Connecticut, Dr. Christine Jensen, she has a couple of dogs, and she also would work on her German Shepherd. And you can actually get charts. I haven't downloaded them yet, but you can download charts from the Reflexology Association for pets.
They
for
have
dogs,
to. You have
cats.
to do their paws on their paws, right? You won't get a cat to stay
ears
still
a little
though.
bit too,
Yeah,
right?
I have.
Yeah, the ears. Yeah.
The ears they would probably love. Dogs love their
Yeah.
ears.
Well, what about
rubbed.
cats? Cats won't give you their
It's
paws,
the
but you
same.
could do their ears.
Actually, I used to have cats growing up, and I used to massage them between the paws. Isn't that weird that
They
I
let you
did
do
that
that?
when I was little?
Yeah.
See, you must have had the touch even
It's
then.
weird.
You were meant to be in
And the
this
cats
field.
stayed there.
Yeah.
Most cats
weird.
don't like their
No, they don't. They,
paws touched.
No, but in JB, my dog JB is named after James Bond.
I always wondered that because I know
I
her
know.
dogs. I do. I was, JB.
And my dog JB has a bone cancer, some type of bone, like dysfunction for his blood's all messed up. So it's not producing blood correctly in the bone marrow. I don't really understand it correctly. But I refused to do chemo and everything, and I decided to do Reiki, and Traci worked on him doing Reiki, and I did some reflexology on his paws, and he really likes it. Now, if I go do it to the other dog who isn't used to it, he has to get used to it. He tenses up his paws. So I think it's kind of interesting. The dog actually responded well to it. I didn't know what I was doing or not doing, to be honest, but I just massaged all of the paws. I'm sure I could look it up, but I figured, well, obviously I'm doing something if I'm stimulating the paws. So I gave him noni juice and soy milk to fatten him up, and it's also good to fight tumors. Different theories that I've read on the side, and he's still living 2 years later.
That's
They
great.
told me to put him down 2 years ago,
Oh,
and he's still going.
that's terrific.
So I don't know.
I know he's a fighter.
That's
Yeah,
great. It's like
yeah.
my cat, high sugar, and diabetes, and I refused to put him on insulin. I went to Dr. Tobin, a naturopath, and he's on chromium and vanadium, and he's fine. His sugar's
They
fine.
do a lot of these alternative therapies
the animals
on
are wonderful.
horses.
Yeah.
I have a friend who did Reiki and massage on her horse. He was just not settling down, and as soon as they started to do the Reiki on him,
I know
he
pets
just went,
instinctively know. I
They
think with
do.
the Reiki especially, they just feel it and they
Right.
calm right down. It's
Well, the
amazing.
theory I've heard is that I think animals do so well because they don't have all the stuff that we have.
That's
Yeah,
true.
the judgment and
we
the,
get in our way, and we were thinking everything through, and they just are. You know,
Yeah,
if we
yeah.
could be more like our pets, we would, be more unconditionally loving. We
more in balance.
I know
So
it.
they really are. They do say that, like they respond much faster to different therapies. That is interesting.
I gave him a lot of Reiki also, which
You did?
yeah, which he stayed for. He did really good at that. Sometimes he would snuggle up to me, and I would do the Reiki on him. And he liked that.
Wow. Cat
I
likes
do
it
it every
too.
so often on him now. Yeah, and I know they like. He loves the ears. I do that with the ears. So is there
Yeah.
reflexology in the animals' ears?
I'm sure there is.
Because you
I
do
don't-
our ears,
that's
right?
That's a
So-
good question.
yeah.
I wonder if there's charts
'Cause they
for
love
that
it.
because I do know that there's paw charts, which I find so interesting. Now you got me going. I'm going to go look it up because I'm really curious if that's so. But the ears, I'm sure, because
They love the ears being-
Animals love it.
Just they really like that.
I have a question. If somebody had like a surgery, an organ removed, or an injury, internal injury,
Right.
can you pick that up on the feet?
Yes, in fact, it's interesting. One of my clients that had lung cancer and has a lung removed actually has two
Like a depression
calloused, and one's calloused and one's kind of red and new. And it actually is like a marking on their ball of their foot on the same side that their lung was removed.
Wow.
I've had
Wow.
people that don't have their pancreas was removed, and it will just feel more hollow. It is true in the foot. It can be felt. It's
pancreas?
incredible. Yeah, if someone loses, like one
Okay,
kidney
yeah.
or, let's say, okay, remember we talked about the zones. So let's say someone had their left kidney removed, and they would say, well, why would you work my kidneys on that side? Because
You still need to bring
I don't have
energy
my
to that,
kidney.
yeah.
Well, you still have the ureter and the bladder and everything connected. And then along that path of that zone are other things. So the kidney could be halfway up, but you're still working the lung, everything else that's in that path, including
Right.
the brain. So I thought that was interesting because I did have a client say, well, don't bother because I don't have that.
I've picked up working with Reiki, like even just the absence of, like a woman came to me and she had a hysterectomy, and I could just feel the lack. I could feel the void.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, how did you know that? And I just said, you just energetically you can feel that void.
Yeah, and I was thinking of not the pancreas, but the gallbladder is one. That
Right,
they
because
have
I
there.
thought so, yeah,
The
because you can't
gallbladder, and
live
there's
without your
only,
pancreas.
again, one. So on one side of the foot, you feel that, and it's like a hole. That's what it was, yeah, not the pancreas. And the other thing that's cool, and it's really kind of out there, but the maternity reflexology teacher from England actually does, in her second level, show people how you can see the baby laying in the womb, that the uterus actually changes shape
On the
in the foot. And
That's
it's amazing because you can actually see discoloring. Some people with their experience and their intuition are really good, where I had a woman work on me last week and she said, are you menstruating? And I said, yes, actually. And she goes, oh, I can tell from your foot. And I'm like, you're kidding me. You get more and more advanced at it, I think, where you can see and feel different things. I have definitely felt one of my clients when they got pregnant and they didn't tell me. So you say right away, are you pregnant? And the feet become softer, just like our skin would be softer. And if they're a regular client, you're like,
You see the
something's
difference, yeah.
changed. Yeah. So it's really interesting.
It's interesting. It feels good. It works. It's
I just
wonderful.
like
Another really cool point is
Oh, I love this point.
Yeah.
Is that
Some
very for
people know
allergies
about
and
this.
sinuses
Tell
and
our
sinus
audience
headaches?
about it. Yeah, what is that?
Love it.
The web of your hand on either side is a really good point to press in here if you have headaches, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling tired. If you just squeeze and stimulate, you can look in there where it might feel a little painful. Along the upper thumb in the web, if you go along and actually feel for an indentation on the bone, you can actually, that's an acupuncture point for liver. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. You can't do any harm to yourself. If you have a headache and you start squeezing, you squeeze on both sides so you can get in there. And it will be a little bit tender on most people. You got to pretty much go deep or high into the web, right where the bone almost comes. And as you squeeze that, you can actually feel like a drainage or something in your head, like it just feels so relaxing. My theory, I always make jokes, is it hurts so much here that it makes your headache go away.
Something else does too, though. Somebody told me that a long time ago about
That always
doing
helps
this.
me
What
with
was
my
it?
allergies, like when
Was
I was
it
having
allergies?
sneezing fits and
Lots of your
sinus-related
fingers,
things.
anything on your tips of your fingers, if you just want to stimulate, is good for energy, is good for the headache, is the thumb is the same
Okay,
as your big toe.
Okay.
So the spine goes all along the inside of your thumb. And here's your neck, just like your big toe. Your neck is in this base knuckle all the way around. Your pituitary gland is in there, pineal, your thyroid gland.
Wow.
All of those things, especially in the toes, that can be stimulated, will really help regulate
Just
your
think,
whole
like,
system.
if you're sitting there watching TV at night, just, like, what else are you going to do with your hands unless you're knitting or,
Right. Right.
just massage your own hands, massage your own feet,
Yeah.
your ears.
I wonder how they first realized that way back when they started. I wonder.
I do
Just
wonder
thought just came to me. How
Like,
did
yeah.
they realize that?
It was a reflection. It was a
Yeah.
mirror even then, you know.
How did they realize
That's
that?
what I wonder. Unless, again, like there's so many different quotes and things in the Bible too that are just, the feet.
Really?
The
Yeah.
path is the way that, when it talks about all of our body parts, there's no one different than the other. The foot is not different than the head. They all have a need. You can't live with one without the other, and they're all in each other. I mean, there's lots of things that are symbolism that have been going on for years. And I'm sure if we looked into even more cultures, we would see more and more evidence of it too.
Now, on that note, how would you start with a client just to engage them and get them going, like when
Well,
they
if
first
somebody
come in?
calls, usually they'll find out either word of mouth or
Okay.
through our website at, what is it?
You're on the Reflexology
Yeah,
Association.
Reflexology. Yeah, for the RACT, which is the Reflexology Association of Connecticut. If anyone in the state would like to find a practitioner near them, if not my office, they could go to reflexologyconnecticut.com, I think it is, .org.
That's how they would get in touch with you.
Yeah, well, they could find out about different articles. They could find out about reflexology. But anyway, when people call me personally, they might know about reflexology, might have had reflexology before or not. And basically, I just explain to them a little bit about what it is and how the session will go.
Very
and
good.
try to
And
find
this is how
out
you
what
get
they would like.
Yeah, great. This is how you can get a hold of Mary. It's Mary Keefe Hatch, and her phone number is 203-907-8609. Thank you.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure having you
Yeah,
on our
thanks
show.
for
And
having
my
me.
feet got
Yes.
a treat tonight. Thank you.
Yes,
I
you're
know.
welcome.
Thank you so much for coming. It
Thanks,
was
you
so
guys.
interesting.
Thank
I know
you.
the audience are going to check into this because
I know.
oh boy, here's a good excuse. Even if you just like to get your feet massaged,
Yeah, and
right?
feel free to contact me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to
Okay.
answer and give you contact.
It's very informative.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to do our usual quotes. We
Wanna do our
have
quote
two
now?
tonight about
Okay.
the feet, which
All right.
I felt was important.
Yeah, the first one is, there where your feet stand begins the journey of 1,000 miles. That was Tao Te Ching. And by Henry David Thoreau, heaven is under our feet as well as over our heads.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That really is
Okay.
beautiful.
So we're going to give you our info, our show info right now. And to contact us, you can call Rosemary at 203-627-7966, or you can call myself, Traci, at 203-232-3405. If you would like to email us your questions, you can email them to healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com. And for show schedules, please visit either www.entirebeing.com or www.rosemarylachance.com. And thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night and join
Thank
us
you.
again.
Yes. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
As you look out through the window to the world you have made, always know you are the vision. See the truth, darkness fade.